Welcome back to another beginner-friendly acrylic painting. Today we're going to do some atmospheric hills and some trees in the Fauve style. So let's get started. We're going to use the same three colors we always use. Titanium white is going to be our white mixture. For mixing, benzimidazolone yellow, phthalo blue-green shade, and quinacridone magenta. All of the materials are in your description. I've got my colors out here on my palette. I'm going to start with my number 12, and I'm going to paint in a kind of a pretty atmospheric sky. So we'll start with a little yellow, and we'll add some white to that because we want it soft, very soft. Just put that down. I'm not painting too wet. I want it to dry pretty quickly, so I'm not loading up the paint on the canvas. Just titanium white and a little bit of yellow. And then just pull that across. Big brush strokes. Really, really soft. We want that sky to be very soft. Almost like a dawn, coming dawn. Barely see the sun coming up. Okay, so we've got that there. Now we're going to put in some soft hills right here. I'm using my number 6. I'm just going to kind of sketch them in with number 6. I'm going to grab a little phthalo blue and a lot of titanium white. I want these to be very soft, really soft. And let's add just a tiny touch of quin magenta. Give them just a tiny hint of a purple because they're off in the distance. So we'll start here and we'll just bring them down like so. And that's just about how hard that is. And we want them to be really soft. So we'll go back into our titanium white. And we probably have enough blue on our brush to do this without any more blue. Really want them to be off in the distance, so very soft. There, you can barely see them. It might even be hard to see on the camera, but they're pretty soft, often in the distance. It's what the Italian Renaissance artists called sfumato, which is the term for atmospheric perspective. When things recede in the distance and they look soft, that's what you get, atmospheric perspective. Okay. So now I'm going to switch over to my number 12. Whoops, my number 12 has a little bit of yellow on it. I'm just going to wipe that. And then I'm going to pick up some titanium white. And I'm just going to start blending here. Really soft, a very soft green. A little bit of yellow. I probably got a little bit of blue on my brush. Just really, really soft. Just really want to get that feeling of the atmosphere, them receding off into the distance. A little tiny bit more phthalo blue. Be really careful with that phthalo blue. It is very, very strong, so you need very, very little of it. Let's get a little bit of yellow. And I can tell this is going to be too strong already, so it's going to need more titanium white. There, we're getting closer to where we need to be. Just a soft green, really soft. We're going kind of dry on the canvas, not too juicy, because we do want things to dry. Let's pick up a little yellow. Put a little bit of definition in there. Make sure it's not too bold, too strong. Just keep building those really soft hills. Have a little bit of yellow here. I'm going to pull that in. It's going to seem like it's too bold. We'll put some white back on top of it. Let's pick up a tiny bit of phthalo and blend into it. And see, we're getting a little bit more saturated with color as we come forward. But we're still wanting to keep everything pretty soft. Because the star of the show is going to be these two trees right here in the foreground. And we don't want to overshadow them. So we're going to keep things really soft all the way. Now, if you're living somewhere where your paint tends to dry up really fast, you might want to use a little glazing liquid in your paint. And I am going to put a dollop of that out. And then ever so often I can dip my brush into it and it'll create a much more silky feel to my paint. My paint won't feel quite as dry and won't drag so much on the canvas. Remember though, don't add any water. Water is not your friend. If you want to wash your brushes, go ahead and do so, but make sure you dry them really well before you bring them back to the canvas or to the palette, because it can really be a disaster if you use too much water. You only have to do it once and you'll know what I mean. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's what she meant. I see. Okay. So right here, I'm going to have this little cluster of plants and things right here that are going to have much more drama, much more saturation, because they're the star of the show. So I'm going to build those up right now. Start with some yellow. Let's start right here and have some nice bold yellow here. Let's bring some I have some phthalo into that. And it looks like I need more titanium white. Because we want it bold, but we don't want it jarring. You know, we want it to feel like it lives in the same picture plane. And I have some fairly dark here. Nice brush strokes that look like foliage. That's what you want. And you want them to have a little bit of saturation, a little bit of drama, because they are the star of the show. Just keep building that with your blue and your yellow. Making those nice textural brush strokes. We'll even bring a little Quin Magenta in here in a minute. I'm going to wipe my brush, grab a tiny bit of Quin Magenta, come into these greens here to give them another layer, another sense of depth, so they'll be a little bit darker. Over here. Let's have a little bit more blue up here. And you can see that gives us a real sense of foreground and background, how soft and muted that is. It's like they're really going away in the background there. That's just what we want. Okay, now I'm going to have a couple of really thin trees right here. So I'm going to go to my number 6. And I want a really dark, almost black. So I'm going to mix up some quin magenta and phthalo blue and make a purple. And then I'm going to put some yellow into that. And it probably even looks black on the screen, on your computer screen. But I'll show you. See how dark that is? That is a really nice dark. So I'm going to have these 2 fairly thin trees right here. So I'm going to have one that goes like so here. And I like to make the tree trunk kind of wiggly. And then let's have another one next to it, a little smaller. Here. And then we'll have some really tiny branches. I'm barely touching the canvas here. Barely touching. That gives you some nice tree limbs. That's one of the reasons I love these Princeton brushes so much. They are such workhorses, but look at the point on that. Just a beautiful point. Can really rely on these brushes. So just a couple more, don't overdo it. Okay, those are our trees. Wash my brush. Now I'm going to go to my fan brush for the foliage on these guys. And I'm going to start, I really like this dark here, so I'm going to go into the phthalo blue, go into the quin magenta, and grab a little bit of that yellow. And let's just get a super dark, dark green. Let's see, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of that off my brush because I don't want it too messy. But I do like this dark, dark green. So let's start here at the top. And don't overdo it. Start with really sparse. You can always come back later and put more in. But if you put too much in to begin with, it's hard to come back from that. So these really tall, very thin trees that don't have a whole lot of foliage. Give them a little bit more here. Keep that fan brush pretty dry. Okay, let's check that. I think we need a little bit right here. And I think the shape needs to be shaped up a little bit, a little rounder. That's looking pretty good. Don't overdo it, okay? Now we get a real sense that these are in shadow, that the light is back here and these are darker. So when I come back here with my dark and I want to put some of that dark in here as well, because I want this foliage here to really be dark and kind of in shadow. Okay, now that's nice and dark, but we're not going to just leave it there like a big dark blob. We're going to come back with our fan brush. Now, the key thing here is when you clean your fan brush, don't put it in the water if you're going to use it right away. Just wipe it. Again, that water can be really detrimental. So watch it. I'm going to wipe it and get as much of it off as I can. And now I want to take some titanium white and some yellow. And I should be able to do this without making mud. So let's see if that is in fact true. So I want just some highlights here. I've got too much paint on my brush, and I want it more yellow than that. So just hit the edges of those darks. I'm just using my fan brush really vertical. Now you may be wondering, why did I do all of that painting with my paintbrush just to come over it with the fan brush? Well, if I had not done that background painting in the green, then my fan brush would be going down on white canvas and it would look very odd. So you got to do your background painting first. Okay, I think we're getting there. I think that's looking pretty good. We want that sense of these flowers just hitting the sunlight. And one final thing, I'll take my number 6, and it's nice and dry. I'm going to take some titanium white, very clean. A little bit of yellow. I want to make sure my brush is really clean. And I'm just going to give it a few little dots of this really bright yellow. That'll just look like flowers. And I think we'll just get one tiny bit of titanium white all by itself. Just a tiny bit here and there. Don't overdo it. Just to give you the sense that you get a little bit of that light. Okay, I think that's good enough. I think that's all we need to do. All right, that is our atmospheric landscape with 2 trees. I hope you liked that. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Join me in the next video, and remember what I always say, keep painting.